are back. Welcome to the Homebuyer Town Home Florida. My name is Adriana Montes. We have been talking with Eric Feldman about notes, about foreclosure, about servicing a note, acquiring a note, investing in notes, and also acquiring properties at the end if the properties are not, the loans are not performing, acquiring them through foreclosure process. All of this at this conference, servicing conference, IMN conference in Orlando. So Eric, go ahead and please explain us and take us through the foreclosure process in its entirety.
So once you've acquired a loan or a note, promissory note, let's say that you purchase it in a non-performing scenario. So then the next step would be making sure that you have some company that's servicing the loan, which can determine what the payments have been made, or what payments have been made or have not been made, the terms of the loan, and having all the sort of the paperwork and calculations in the file. So once you determine that and you have good due diligence and a full file, then you're able to determine whether you can move forward. And every jurisdiction is different. So I happen to work in Illinois, Indiana, and Wisconsin. Those are all considered judicial states, meaning you have to go through a judicial foreclosure, which involves the court. So the first step would be a demand letter. Then once, if you haven't been paid according to the demand letter, typically a 30-day time frame or so, which would, and there are some federal regulations as well as state regulations, and there might be even municipal ones related to it. So in the city of Chicago, for instance, they have all kinds of unique, let's call them, and challenging hurdles and obstacles that you need to go through in order to process in order to go through the default process. So once you've done that, then you're filing a lawsuit similar to other lawsuits, but it's related to foreclosure, mortgage foreclosure, which in most states has its own statute. So you do have to follow the rules associated with that. And in most states, lawyers are involved in that process. There are a few non-judicial processes where you don't necessarily have to be a lawyer, but most people do use lawyers in order to move forward under those circumstances. One important component is also the title work, right? So who owns the property? Are there other encumbrances associated with the property? Are there other people that you have to be notifying? So you might be the main note holder or mortgage holder, but the borrower may have borrowed money from other institutions or other people, or there could be mechanics liens associated with it. Maybe they didn't acquire the property in the way that you thought they did. So that's really an important component that usually happens really early on. So you can determine sort of what place you're in with respect to the loan and the investment. And then the process continues. It gives an opportunity for the borrower to respond. It gives opportunities for borrowers to redeem the amounts that are owed. But typically you're in a situation where, maybe let's say you started with a 5% loan, but then you're in the default components, which could double or triple the interest rates involved. Then there are attorney's fees and other types of costs and fees associated with collection that you would be responsible for as a borrower. So it does end up being more and more difficult as the process goes on in order to redeem and for a borrower to step back up. One of the easiest ways for them to redeem is sell the property. That's a good, easy way to do it. Or refinance. And refinancing, though, becomes difficult because the borrower, has gone into default. There aren't that many lenders that are interested in refinancing a borrower who hasn't, shown the good faith to make those payments in the past. So why would another lender want to jump into that space? So and then eventually there is something called a judicial sale. In judicial states, they have judicial sales, which is typically a separate company that holds a sale, which is somewhat like an auction. And after that, then there would be a confirmation associated with that sale. And finally, the security of the loan, which is the property, will then be titled into the lender's name or entity.
Wow, Eric, this is an amazing explanation. Have you ever considered being a teacher at your law school? You are so talented at explaining this. Really, it makes it very easy for audience to understand the process, what it takes. It takes a long time for a property to be foreclosed. Actually, you get a lot of chances, and that's very good. Takes a long time for that process to come through. So what kind of discounts can you expect when you're buying a note? And also, what is the difference between residential notes, commercial notes, owner-occupied notes for primary residence or investment notes? If you can give us kind of an understanding and explanation of all of these areas where you can buy notes and what kind of discounts you can expect.
So I'm not a note broker. I'm a lawyer. We deal with the default component, which oftentimes I'm not really privy to the scenario, where they bought the note and so forth in those circumstances. But you raise important issues that there are all kinds of promissory notes out there. So ones that are secured by residential property, by commercial property, and by even businesses, other assets. So there's all kinds of promissory notes out there. And I think they all come with different financials associated with them. So there could be, 10 to 20% discounts. There could be 30 to 40% discounts of the outstanding principal balance. That's when we say that. So it's not related to the property or assets that are securing it. It's related to related to the outstanding principal balance.
Thank you, Eric. And also, what do you mean, if you can expand a little more, on what do you mean by the discount on the note is related to the loan amount?
So let's back up a minute. Let's say I borrow $100,000 and I secure it on a condominium in Chicago or wherever. So the outstanding principal balance day one is $100,000. And let's just say that I make payments for, 2.5 years. So the outstanding principal balance, so each payment is consistent of in part principal balance and interest. So your principal balance starting at $100,000, let's say you've made 2.5 years of payments. So that's, 30 payments or so. Let's say that they were $1,000 a month or so. And that ratio between principal balance and interest changes each month, right? So while you have an $1,000 payment, $600 of it might go to principal balance and $400 might go to interest. After the principal balance, you have an interest payment. So after the 30 payments that you've made, let's say the principal balance is now reduced. I mean, I'm just doing some error math here, but let's say from 100,000 is now at 85,000 or so. So you have 85,000 is the unpaid principal balance, UPB. And that, that is the starting point of when someone would sell the loan, right? So Chase Bank says, okay, I've got, it was $100,000 loan. So the paperwork will all say 100, but then you see the payment history and then a payoff letter, which hopefully would detail exactly what's been paid, interest and principal. And you'd say, okay, 85,000. So you start the negotiations at 85,000, and then hopefully there'll be discounts associated with it if they are not performing. So that gives hopefully a little better perspective of what we're talking about here.
Thank you, Eric. That's a great explanation. I love how you laid that out from 100,000 loan that they got at the beginning, and then now it's down to 85. So let's say they purchased the property at like 80% financing, about 125,000 was the value when they bought it. And now it's probably worth 150. I mean, especially if you're in Florida or if you're in Miami and all of the New Yorkers and all of the
Sunshine State, right?
But yeah, so if it's a 150 value and you owe 85, so we're talking about 56% LTV, and let's say you get an extra discount. I mean, you basically could get this note for only 50% of what the property is worth. So you have a lot of equity in there. So that would be like a really, really good discount. That's just like an example that we're giving in this scenario. So thank you so much. It's been a great informative show today about non-performing loans, about promissory notes, about foreclosures, about jurisdictions. Thank you so much for all of this information that you provided. If you can provide one more time your contact information for anybody that's interested in talking to you about real estate, about legal advice, in the 3 different states that you service.
No problem. Thanks for having me. My name is Eric Feldman, and my firm is Eric Feldman and Associates. We are based in downtown Chicago, and we handle work in Illinois, Indiana, and Wisconsin. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Eric, for joining us today at this IMN Servicing Non-Performing Loans Conference. Thank you for all of your knowledge. And if you have any questions about non-performing loans, about real estate investment, I walk the talk. I'm a real estate investor. So please go ahead and call me. My number is 321-689-6258. Or my email is adriana@floridadreamsrealty.com. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please like me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and follow me on YouTube. And the power is now. The power is today to take all of this information and bring it into action, to take control of your finances, and to start generating wealth through real estate.